Organizational communication, human resource theory. The human resources theory is a theory within an organizational communication which sees each individual within an organization as a valuable human resource, an idea in which has had an immense impact in organized management, well, into the present day. In other words, to simplify all of that, it makes people's voices, ideas, and contributions in an organization that they may be part of be heard. It gives them the feeling of part of the team, being included and appreciated. The way it is defined is the sending and receiving of messages between individuals within a particular environment, and that's to help achieve individual and common goals. Some of the uses that we see with organizational communication is you're able to share information. For example, this can be like an A and B conversation, or even it could be more than just two people. It can be up to 3, 4 people, or even a whole group. Within that, you're able to establish goals, share beliefs, etc. With doing that, you're building relationships within the organization that you may be part of, or you can even build relationships outside of it. Also, you are able to help develop plans to achieve those individual goals or even mutual goals that you may have with the people that you've built relationships with. You can help address issues and help resolve conflicts that may be happening within the space. With that, you're able to help build a more positive, organized environment for people. And within that, you are able to help people be more supportive of one another in many of the decision-making processes, and ultimately help build a very effective team, and it increases the productivity. Again, because with doing all of this, you are giving an individual the attention, the feeling of being heard, and that they are contributing very well ideas that can help with uh, achieving those goals. So it boosts their motivation and confidence into wanting to be more productive and help achieve those goals. In history and how it began and further developed, it was founded as early as the 4th century and began in the mid-20th century. In the 4th century, it was used by ancient Eastern scholars who focus on the flow of information, the fidelity message, and the quality of information. Where we see these focuses and quality was within their government bureaucracy, which is a system of government where the most important decisions are made. In the mid-20th century, in the industrial age, the focus was on worker productivity, the organizational structure, and effectiveness. It then further developed when the electronic communication began. That was when the invention of the telephone, the internet, email, etc., anything that falls into the category of electronic communication. It all contributed to how the acceleration and the speed in which people are able to communicate effectively and share information between one another, no matter where they may be around the world. And those focuses that I mentioned are still seen today in the present day, and just focuses of areas in organizational communication.
So now moving into our particular theory of choice of human resources. Human resources is a subtheory within, of course, organizational communication. Human resources is a theory that sees employees as being genuinely valuable resources in an organization, and it fully embraces all organization members' participation and aims for all members to feel a sense of personal investment in said organization. So there are several defining characteristics of human resources. It encourages personal involvement. It emphasizes that everyone's needs are met. It also sees all members of an organization as being valuable to that organization. And it does so in a genuine way rather than in a performative way, which is perhaps most important. So human resources can find very early origins in or as a criticism of human relations theory and all of its shortcomings. A good example of this is in Elton Mayo's Hawthorne studies, which spawned the theory of human relations. And to summarize, in this study, they basically concluded that employees showed a dramatic improvement in productivity solely because employers showed interest in their work for once. And rather than ushering in an era where employers actually showed interest in people's work in a genuine way, instead, these studies ushered in an era of very performative care on behalf of employers, which gave a very bad name to human relations theory. So Douglas McGregor's human relations approach served as very early inspiration for human resources. In this approach, McGregor coined the theories Theory X and Theory Y. Here, Theory X represents that very classical management approach of micromanaging employees and people underneath you. It's a very hierarchical approach to organizational communication. Theory Y is his theory, which he actually supports and believes in, which assumes that all employees are self-motivated and trustworthy as they are. Now, his work served as an example of what could be seen as very well-intentioned human relations theory. However, in the end, it was sadly misinterpreted, which resulted in very uncritical applications of it as a sort of management strategy rather than what it was aimed for, which was just to be a theory on human behavior that could be applied to management. This led to even more of that era of very performative care for employees. So an original work regarding human resources, a seminal piece, if you will, can be found in Chris Argyris's Integrating the Individual and the Organization. In this paper, he aimed for active participation on behalf of all organization members. In this case, even workers on the absolute lowest level of the hierarchy are human resources, and these human resources make important contributions to the organization. Here he highlights interdependence as being an accepted aspect of all organizations. He also highlights that employee productivity is rooted in inclusion and shared gain from the organization. He disregards things like impersonal and meaningless suggestion boxes and wishes to eliminate them so they could be exchanged for things like active listening and true discussion between employers and employees. Those meaningless discussion boxes and suggestion boxes are typical of human relations theory. So in this case, human resources would encourage active synchronous discussions between all group members. Most importantly, perhaps, he also highlights personal motivation, which stems from shared economic gain in this case. And ego satisfaction here is sourced from the individual alone, rather than from pseudo praise and fake hand claps from the higher ups, which are typical of human relations theory. So William Ouchi's Theory Z provides a very effective example of true human resources theory. In Theory Z, Ouchi promotes the American adoption of Japanese organizational management styles, and such culture usually centers around ideals of lifetime employment, a sense of collective responsibility, organizational members' interdependence on one another, and lastly, a sound body and mind. This last aspect of a sound body and mind draws stark resemblance to human relations, but the additional ideals surrounding it create a much more well-rounded approach that is more typical of human resources than human relations. So in all, Theory Z functions as a truly authentic example of human resources theory, mostly because of the fact that it encourages that meaningful involvement of everyone, regardless of their status. And it also allows everyone to serve as an active and important human resource in the decision-making process and in the overall regulation of the company.
Human resources theory has impacted organizations in many immediately apparent and applicable ways. Human resources management processes based on human resource theory are proven to increase worker productivity. To emphasize this point, I should mention that Lawrence Vossity, pictured right here, CEO of Allied Signal and former vice chairman of General Electric, said in an interview with Harvard Business Review that I am convinced that nothing we do is more important than hiring and developing people. An article published by Athena Information Systems Private Unlimited states that human resource management or HRM processes increase motivation and thus quality of work in subordinates. They also mentioned that HRM practices create a flexible workspace, incentivize staying with the firm, and improve output of work. Human resources management involves overall contribution to strength of human capital, which manifests in various forms such as flexible benefits plans and employee development initiatives. A survey of 80 of the top 150 Fortune industrial companies in 1990 demonstrated that flexible benefits plans, which involve customizing employee compensation and benefits to individual preferences, are becoming more popular. In addition, a survey done by Mercury Communications found that 70% of staff were satisfied with their flexible benefits packages, up 27% from a year before these flexible benefits packages were instituted. In 2023, some degree of flexibility in benefits is now expected, demonstrating the profound impact of human resource management processes on employee satisfaction, retention, and overall organizational performance. On a broader level, human capital investment just refers to the practice of viewing employees as valuable assets and strategically investing in their development and well-being to enhance organizational performance. This could refer to employee training and development, all the way from little quizzes that you might have to take on a learning management system in order to work somewhere, to tuition reimbursement programs where companies will pay for higher education. Because human resources theory views the employee as the lifeblood of the company, companies investing in human capital must also leverage good working conditions by creating an environment conducive to optimal employee interactions and taking into account the psychological and physical spaces in which people work. The future of human resource theory seems to suggest a growing movement towards investment of development and education. The Friedman Doctrine in business has been massively important in the evolution of corporate philosophy. The phrase, the responsibility of a business is to generate profit for its shareholders, is one we have all heard. It originated from Milton Friedman, who argued in 1970 that a chief business executive should not be able to spend shareholders' money on their own, as this would make the chief executive a, quote, undemocratically elected civil servant. This ideology has governed business for decades, prioritizing profit above all else and drawing the line for where businesses should shift away from social consciousness in favor of rational effectiveness. However, this doctrine has fallen out of popularity in favor of the idea of corporate social responsibility, or CSR. Corporate social responsibility is a concept that emphasizes the ethical and moral obligations of businesses beyond simply generating profits for shareholders. It instead entails a business's commitment to act in a socially and environmentally responsible manner. This ideology has become significantly more popular in recent years, with 90% of Fortune 500 companies embracing it by the year 2000. Corporate social responsibility, much like human resources theory, stresses considering broader societal impacts beyond profit generation. Ian Taylor from the International Journal of Corporate Social Responsibility even goes on to explain that some societally impactful actions, such as investing in education, are not purely charitable, as investments in education can generate human capital in future generations of a community. Another example of this is the promotion of fair labor practices and decent working conditions, an idea which has gained prominence in recent years as conscientiousness of employees has become more popular. Therefore, the growingly popular ideology of corporate social responsibility, in conjunction with investments in human capital, suggests a future of higher execution of human resources theory. In conclusion, the human resources theory of organizational communication has fundamentally shaped how we manage and understand organizations. This theory has a rich history dating back centuries. It has since evolved to embrace concepts like Theory Z and corporate social responsibility, and its future suggests a greater focus on education and development. This theory has transformed organizational management and will continue to do so in the years to come. Thank you all for watching.